by those who understand and know and practice Hawaiian mysticism and indigenous spiritual traditions of the islands, and traditions that are amongst and throughout a number of the other indigenous peoples across this land, the mainland, that in reference to Aloha and the Aloha spirit, the teaching that takes us into a wider, broader perspective of the meaning of Aloha, that in fact we are invited to apply, to utilize in and through our everyday actions, by way of our words, our deeds, by way of our thoughts, our minding and managing of our consciousness, if we will, a term that's pretty familiar in unity. And the further meaning, in addition to hello, goodbye, or love, or I love you, of aloha, when we invoke that word, when we even say it either aloud or just hold it in the quiet silence of our inner reflection and reflections. Aloha means the joyful sharing of life's energy in the present moment. And in fact, the affirmation not long ago up on the screen was just about that same wording. The affirmation that Unity in the Valley has woven and chosen and engendered for ourselves, for us, for yourselves. And not only then is the understanding of aloha in the form of a noun, but it's certainly in the form of a verb. Our, in the present moment, joyful sharing of life energy. Now, Dr. Sergei King, the author of a number of different publications, and the one that's my favorite was the first that I was introduced to by way of Dr. King's work. And it simply comes in a little booklet. It's called the Little Pink Booklet of Aloha. And by the way, this can be found, the content of which can be found online, and it's free of charge. So you can get it electronically. And if later on after the service you want to ask me for that reference point, I'm happy to give it to you. But I personally prefer something I can hold, something I can have in a physical kind of way in the hard copy of the little booklet itself. And what Dr. King affirms and asserts is that as you and I become more consciously intending to step into the verb tense of Aloha spirit, sharing ourselves joyfully in the present energy of this moment, that here's what we can bring more of or have a greater increase in our lives around and about. And it's some pretty bold and audacious promises. Let's see if you don't agree. I'll just read a couple of things from here. The Aloha philosophy says and claims, much like Unity, all 4 or 5 of these, the world is what you think it is. There are no limits. Energy flows where attention goes. Now is the moment of power. Most of us would agree with that. To love is to be happy with. And then we fill in the dots that follow, or the blanks that follow. Be happy with what? And much of the remainder of today's message will involve with what? And then the closing 2, all power comes from within. And then the 7th or so one, I kind of lost count here, is effectiveness is the measure of truth. So how do we know, in a way that we can measure or monitor, that we're following truly, or that we're in alignment with the purpose or the purposefulness with which we've set out to travel, to spend, and the way in which we choose to be in relationship to others day in and day out? Well, Dr. King goes on to say the following, that when we practice being together through and allowing our inward natural state of joy, endowed by the spiritual essence of the true nature of who and what we've become, who and what we were born into in this world, to express that light, that love, that peace, that joy that we talk about from day in and day out, Sunday to Sunday in unity. And the manner and the mechanism to activate and to take straight aim, if we were archers, I would use the analogy that we all have a quiver with a number of arrows. Each day, a number of opportunities to check our alignment with our purpose, to see if we're in accord with our body, mind, soul, to determine whether we're acting truly in the direction guided by those values and principles that we most admire, that we've come to claim and affirm in our life. And there are 4 or 5 words, qualities, these words lead to qualities, that the little Aloha pink booklet talks about. And they are characteristics, they are actions, and they are ways of being. And the first one is admiration. And admiration is spoken of the giving of compliments or praise to something good that we notice. Now, for this one, admiration, and for the 4 that follow, the words, by the way, we'll just go quickly through them and then go back and visit each one in a little more detail. It's admiration followed by affirmation. And affirmation is referred to a little differently. Appreciation and anticipation are the 3 remaining words, qualities, characteristics, if we may. Now, quickly defined affirmation, a little bit of twist here from, it's complementary but distinct from the way we would think of affirmation in unity. It's a specific statement of blessing for increase or for endurance. So we affirm that which we want to call more of into our own life. That's basically the secret of the Aloha spirit, that sharing of that life force. In Taoism, we would call it chi. In Hawaii, they call it mana. That life energy, that vibration, that always, everywhere, internal, external presence of the God self, of the beloved body I am. Often in unity, we call that the Christ indwelling us. And the secret to call forth all of what we most want to increase in our lives, or on behalf of someone else, is to extend a well-wish or a blessing. We claim in advance that which we want to see come more into fruition. And here's the simple, the one line, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 7 words. And Dr. King says this is the secret taught by all major spiritual paths to generating, and I just want to get back to, here's the promise. This is in reference, blessing, is a powerful way to resolve any problem, accomplish any goal, and to achieve the state of mind and body that we desire. Here are the secret, not so secret, very common words, but in practice takes diligence and intention and consciousness, minding of our thought stream. The words, quote, bless everyone and everything that represents what we want. Now, how in the bewilderment of childlike simplicity is how we're all asked to approach the spiritual path, is it not? Become ye, become we, as that little child of openness and innocence. And it just can't get, I've never seen it stated any more beautifully or simply, the key to the kingdom, the key to the doorway that opens itself to everything we could possibly dream of having occur more of or be deepened to a greater extent in our lives or the lives that we love, of those that we are beholding to in our relationships, either within family, within church community, and beyond, is simply bless everyone and everything that represents what we want. Now, a couple of important things about that. It's by way of when we bless another or others, by way of when we offer thanksgiving, appreciation, anticipation, admiration, or affirmation. What we're doing in a sense, and now Dr. King is a clinical psychologist as well as a Hawaiian practitioner of the spiritual ways. And from a psychological point of view, he reminds us that when we extend outward our energy in the form of well wishes or blessing or thanksgiving in another another's direction. And now another's direction can be other people, places, things, animals, or events. So we want to be in the consciousness of offering a blessedness and appreciation in affirming the presence of all of the created that's around us, every moment, every hour of every day. And when we offer outwardly, we're in a sense bypassing, and this is according to the psychology of the Aloha spirit, we're bypassing any possibility that through anywhere in our life, if we have in our unconscious or subconscious self, an old message of undeservedness, something that in our personal history that might just pop up now and then to give us that subliminal error message that we're not worthy, that we're somehow have fallen short of being deserving and ready and willing right now to open our lives completely and fully to the everythingness that divine spirit and divine presence intends for us to have. In fact, is already created for us to have. Just a matter of opening to its flow into our life and to manifest it. And so when we bless others and other things, people, places, things, animals, events, we're not only sending them that energy of I love you, I wish you all the very best in your lives. It's a two-way street always. There's reciprocity. The very same nature of the blessing comes back to us. And then we've circumvented or transcended any old subconscious doubts that most of us came into the world with, and most of us have developed a little bit of, oh, that's true for everybody else, but not for me. Not really fully, completely for me. For the other guy, for the other gal, for the other peoples, yeah. But somehow I'm just a little bit, that error message, subconsciously, somehow I'm just a little bit distant. However, when we bless and send the blessing outward, we just rise right over the top of that. No problem. No problem. And we activate the most potent energy system that's available to us. A couple of examples have recently come to my mind. And just notice with me where you might spot in the story, in the person or persons featured, in the sharing that's about to happen, where they utilized, whether they spoke the words or not, how and in what way did their being reflect affirmation, appreciation, anticipation of the positive to come, or laying claim in a way that is about those four words. And once again, those four words begin with an affirmation, appreciation, anticipation, and admiration. All right, story number one. Came to me by my wife, Carol Kiefer. Carol sees from time to time a massage therapist in Rapid City, South Dakota, which is where one of our homes is. And the massage therapist's name is Amy. And in or during or after one of the recent sessions that Carol had with Amy, Amy also, by the way, is a very deep river woman, follower of unity tradition and the paths of teachings that would be copacetic and that we all would share in common. So Amy tells Carol the following story. She said, Carol, I just saw on somebody's Facebook or Yahoo, YouTube or Facebook. I don't do either of those, so I stumble over that new technology. So I'm lucky if I can get an email back and forth to Peggy about when I'm due to show up here on any given Sunday. And I call that good fortune, Peggy. So let's call it on YouTube. I believe that's right, isn't it, Carol? And Amy said that there was a barista, I don't know what town, what city, USA, that was on duty one day. I think it might have been a Starbucks. And the server, the barista, had 2 or 3 people in line that were waiting for their drinks to be prepared. And he was taking the order of a woman and of, I believe it was the woman's daughter. Now the backstory is that we find out later in the presentation on YouTube that this particular woman had been working diligently on weight reduction for the last many months, if not year or two. She was exercising. She was watching her dietary intake. She was doing all of the right things. She was having therapy, counseling with another to assist her to get to what we would in Unity call her right and perfect weight. And she had already lost something like 150 pounds. And she had about, by her goal, and by doctor's recommendation, she had about another 100 pounds to go. But she was well on her way. Now, let's go back to the story in a moment. The woman is placing her order with the barista. And the barista is telling the story now that just in line behind this lady placing the order were a couple of other women. And loudly, they began to criticize the woman placing the order. And my, isn't she, they were saying to one another, right here, and here's the woman placing her whatever drink she's having. They were saying, whoa, the last thing she needs is anything with calories in it. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, I'm hoping she's not getting a something with a bunch of sugar. And on they went for a very long, many seconds. And the lady who's diligently working on adjusting herself and her body and her weight could hear everything. And she finished placing her order with the barista, and then she said, by the way, to him, buy the two women behind me whatever they want to drink. And then she walked off. Whoa. Whoa. Talk about a place in consciousness that I would wish I could have been in if I were the one standing there and being criticized by somebody behind me about anything. I'd like to tell you, I'd like to fantasize with you that, yep, I could have done that. And but we tell the truth around here. Yeah, we tell each other. It's candid stuff here. I don't think I would have gotten there without a lot of practice. Not instantly, not right away, not skipping a beat. She says, buy the two ladies behind me whatever they want. And she said it with a smile. And the barista followed with, are you sure? You sure you want to do that? She said, yes. Yes, I do. Yes, thank you. Now, I don't know what the rest or the extension of that story is. I don't know if it would have been on the YouTube presentation or not. We weren't privy to what those two women who were being in a critical mode, what they thought, what they did, if any conversation ensued between them and the lady that bought them the drink. We don't know. Well, we don't have to know. What we can aspire, like me, use the kind of fancy words, I aspire to engender. I want to actualize more and more in my life that consciousness and that way of being. And I'm imagining that most of us would. Now, could I get myself, could you get yourself to that place of Marianne Williamson and her renditions of The Course in Miracle and many of her books, Return Love. Just very simply and purely giving a love gesture back for what was intended as something that's loving, perhaps even harmful, judgmental. Some of us could even say cruel. But in place of responding in kind, we're invited by the Aloha spirit, the sharing of joyful energy in the present moment, to do something very different. To respond with what? I love you. I can imagine the woman again in the line. If we metaphysically add just one more interpretation, what must have been happening in her being, whether she was conscious of it or not, was unity affirmation of sorts. I love you. I appreciate you. I behold the divine presence in you, ladies behind me. And I'm just going to show it by way of a little gift. Whoa. I call that tall, high watermark consciousness in everyday living. Now, I don't know that any of us will know that woman's name or that it's important that we do. This unsung heroine in my life, and perhaps today and onward, she, the one ordering that drink and buying the two for the ladies behind her, can serve all of us as we go forward. Ah, yes. We'll take time for one more story. I about said, oh, I've gone long again to myself, but now I'll say it out loud. Not too long. Just a couple of more minutes for one more story. This happened recently, and again, let's look for affirmation, appreciation, and anticipation, and admiration in the following. 2 weeks ago, I'm standing behind in Rapid City, South Dakota's airport. One woman in front of me, and I'm waiting to talk to the ticket agent at Delta Airlines, SkyWest out in Rapid City. And the agent was very busy with a passenger in front of me. And this, again, is a line in a very unexpected place. I'm being taught and fed and nourished spiritually. And the passenger was just informed by the agent, I'm sorry, ma'am, you're going to have another 2.5-hour delay here because of mechanical problems with our airplane. And by the way, it's going to cost you extra to check that luggage. Oh, sorry, the agent says. And when you get to Salt Lake City on your way to the West Coast, you'll have another delay. And you won't be able to catch the plane out of there until about midnight. Now, this passenger, a woman traveling alone, was on her way, I found out a little later, to see her family out on the West Coast. And now her demeanor. She'd already been waiting a long, long time at the Rapid City Airport. And I don't know if you've been at the Rapid City Airport, but there's not a lot to do. There really isn't. And so 2 or 3 hours into her wait, and she was just told she's got a lot more waiting time before she possibly can see her family before midnight that night. And she was supposed to have been there by dinner time. The passenger says this. She says, well, you know what? I'll just be with it and deal with it the best I can. As we all will. Things happen. Engines break down, thunderstorms occur, and we don't have any control over that. And then here's how the passenger, she got her boarding pass, she said, thank you to the agent, and she got out a $5 bill from her purse, the passenger. And she said to the agent, can you take tips? And the agent was nonplussed, was incredulous, and she's, well, I think so. And the passenger gave her a $5 tip, and she said, I just want an additional way of thanking you for your service. Now, the passenger started to walk away, and she was still within earshot, this lady, and it's my turn to come up to the agent, and I said to the agent, and I said to the passenger who was glancing back, I said, ma'am, you have just been a living, breathing inspiration for me as to how I might tune up my behavior system and how I might more be in life in day-to-day affairs. You're an inspiration. The agent says to the woman, ma'am, you are for me too, because everybody else today, since I got here at 5 o'clock this morning, has been yelling at me. And what did this lady in front of me just do? She behaviorally, in her demeanor and her countenance, said to the agent, you know, we're all in this together. We're doing the best we can. And we'll go with whatever flow, whatever the universe of events presents to us. And we'll go to a place, here again, metaphysically interpreting this passenger's actions, we'll go to a place of possibility of being. We'll return to that center, the core of our inner self, and we'll allow that which is already present, the loving energy of life force, chi, radiance of the Christ presence indwelling us, beloved Maya, I am presence, whatever we want to call it, we'll just allow that to well up, to come forth, to guide our thinking, our behavior, and our actions. So, to a lady in an airport, I thank you. To the woman in the Starbucks, interchanging with a barista, I thank you. We all thank you. And for today, may we all, let us all, we'll even make it more powerful, we'll claim it for each other. Let us all go forth with a renewed of abundance in the flowing of the presence of life force that we wish to share in exactingly the way that we would most have it be. To actualize every dream, solve any problem, and most of all, to be the change we want to see happen. Thank you.